2, and I'm going to call the March 26, 2024 meeting of the Ann Arbor Independent Community Police Oversight Commission to order. And I'm going to ask Ms. Cummins to please call the roll.
Chair Carter,
I'm here.
Commissioner Offman,
Yes.
Commissioner Billups,
Present.
Commissioner Milgram, Commissioner Pickens, Commissioner Green,
Present.
Commissioner Haynes,
Present.
Commissioner Eliakin,
Here.
Commissioner Francis,
Here.
Councilmember Song, Councilmember Harrison. We have quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to move a couple of things around, but okay. When we get to the agenda, which is now, I'm going to move a couple of things around, I think. But I'm going to ask that, if there's approval for the agenda as it is published.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. And I'm also going to ask for approval of the minutes from the February meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. We are going to, I guess what I'd like to do is switch a couple of things around because we have a special guest with us today. And I'm going to ask Chief Anderson to please come forward and meet ICPOC. We are so happy to have you with us. You can stand there, the floor is yours, and we just are happy to see you and have you here this afternoon.
Well, Chair, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and I'm certainly looking forward to our police department working hand in hand with our commission. There are many things that we're discussing with respect to us working as a collaborative partner, and I'll be looking forward to you all reaching out to us. I brought a few people here with me. I have Lieutenant Dunlap, who's here with me, and also Lieutenant Corey Mills. And so it is my intent to be here at the meetings, to learn from you all, and work as a collaborative partner. And thank you for inviting me.
Again, we're so happy you're lieutenants. We are certainly familiar with. I think we have at least one meeting set up already with Lieutenant Dunlap, and I've been telling Lieutenant Corey that we're going to get with him, and I know he's thinking I forgot, but I haven't. So so are there any? We're going to invite, and an invitation is going to go out, but we are going to be inviting. I'm going to say it right. The community? No, the chief.
The chief.
We are inviting you, Chief Anderson, to meet the Ann Arbor community.
Wonderful.
And that is going to happen on April 23rd. And it's going to be, yes? Do we know yet?
We don't know yet.
Okay. But with it's not going to be, unfortunately, we don't even have council chambers for that day. There's something else going on here. And but we will have a venue, and our invitation should be going out in the next day or so.
Well, thank you. It's going to be a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure my staff is looking forward to it. And again, we are willing and ready to work collaboratively.
Well, we want to see, we're hoping you bring as many of your staff and the detectives and the officers and just bring them out. We're hoping to have several community engagements with the police department. So we're really happy. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or anything? Or yes, Commissioner
I was at
Neal.
the swearing in. It was a very nice event. I just have one question. Did you get your uniform yet?
I have gotten my uniforms. I have. Thank you for asking. Staff did a great job getting them, but they weren't ready at that time. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Good. Do we have any other questions at this point? I know we all want to just shake your hand and talk to you.
Could I go by and do that now?
Oh, that'll be just fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Janet Haynes.
Chief?
And me again.
What's up, dude? Was this a special presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Were you still planning to do a public comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to me this evening, and thank you, Lieutenant Mills, Lieutenant Dunlap, for coming. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to ask, this is our time for public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. And first, I'm going to ask Ms. Cummings if there's anyone on the phone.
We do have a caller on the phone who is calling in. I will allow them to speak to see if they are here for public comment.
Okay.
Caller ending in 000, are you here for public comment? One more time. Caller ending 000, are you here for public comment? If you are, you're on mute. All right.
Okay, maybe they can hook back in later. Is there anyone present here who would like to take advantage of this opportunity for a public comment? If so, please come forward. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is a report from the chair, and I do have a couple of things. First of all, unfortunately, there was another police officer killed yesterday in New York City. I don't know if you all heard about that, where they walked up on a car that supposedly was parked in a bus stop, and the person shot, well, I guess they were trying to get him out of the car, and he wound up shooting and killing the officer. So we know that this is a dangerous job. And it also demonstrates the danger every time there's a vehicle stop. Okay, first, what I'd like you all to look at is the NACOL, and of course, we all talked about NACOL, and that's the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. And what I'm passing out to you now is the NACOL Code of Ethics. And on the last page of this document, you will see all of the oversight agencies that have adopted the NACOL Code of Ethics. And it's not very long, but I'm not asking you to read it at this point, but at our next meeting, which probably won't be the April meeting, but probably the May meeting, I would like some feedback if you have had a chance to look at this and think that it is of value for the Ann Arbor Oversight Commission to adopt this code of ethics for what we do. And some of us did go to NACOL, and by the way, do we know yet, Ms. Cummings, what the date is? I know it's mid-October for this upcoming.
Yep, it's in October. It'll be in Arizona. The registration for the conference is not open yet, but once it does, I will share it with the commission.
Are all of us registered for NACOL, for the webinars that periodically come up?
Those who have expressed interest in receiving those notifications have been listed on the email list. Those who have not are not. So if you're interested in being put on the email list, just see me after the meeting and I'll add you.
Okay, so please take a look at this over the next little while. We are, of course, a review commission. There are different types of commissions, and we talked about that at the last NACO conference. So we review what has been done by the department. And I think I'd like to have this discussion on the Code of Ethics at the next time we are able to do that. Okay, next. As you know, and I know that Councilperson Harrison has been trying to catch me, and I haven't been running, but I've been out of town. We do want to get the resolution regarding traffic transparency before council. Now, Dr. Karpiak, I plan to share your notations with everyone, and I'm assuming that that's fine with you. So I asked Dr. Karpiak to look at the resolution that we thought had been passed and to give some comments as to whether what we had before is what he would need to do a follow-up. Of course, we want to see what the driving ordinance, what, if anything, it had, what effect it may have had. And in the little circles, you'll see the comments that Dr. Karpiak gave. Because what we want to do, once we know exactly what we need, we're going to send it to the department and say, you know, this is what we need, and get feedback from them, and then go to council. So does that make sense, Commissioner Harrison?
Yes,
Okay. To do it that way?
yes.
Okay. So, again, take a look at this. Is everybody now getting city emails?
Yes.
You are getting yours? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I'd like to correspond by email with regard to these specific points so that we can have a draft in the next couple weeks. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about the terms for our commissioners. That was brought up as a request. And I understand, Commissioner Hoffman, that have you already filled out your application for?
Correct.
Okay, so you're all set.
I'm all set.
And the issue was, well, there were actually two issues, because I think Commissioner Hoffman when the commission was initially set up, some of the terms were shorter and longer, and I think you took someone else's one term and you had two years.
No, I'm of the original members, but my first term was 2 years.
Was 2 years.
And then I applied for another term, which is 3 years. So in total, by the end of this, like May, I would have accumulated 5 years.
5 years.
Correct.
So you're eligible for another 3-year term.
Well, the question is over here in the ordinance, I think page 4, item number 5, it says, I'm reading it, term limit, no person serving on the commission continuously for 6 years shall be eligible to reappointment until the lapse of 3 years. I think this is a part that we need probably to suggest some kind of changes, because the first few years was basically built up of the basics of the commission. We did not have any other venue where we could reach out to help us with that. And COVID came and also pushed everything on the back burner.
Right.
So I feel that now we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We feel that we are somehow paved the way, that we understand the process. And it took a long time. And if we're going to say, well, you know, now you are becoming literate and you graduate, well, the experience is going to be lost. So I feel that probably we need to revisit the term limit and not lose the experience of the members, commissioners, who had worked hard to reach the point of understanding the process.
And sometimes it takes a while, and we certainly value your experience with the information managers particularly. So that application has been submitted, I think, hasn't it, Ms. Cummins? Okay, so the second issue is we are one of maybe a couple, I understand, I haven't researched it. Ms. Cummins was informed that we're the only one, but there may be another couple of the, 30 commissions in the city
There's, yep, 3.
that have term limits. Now, I don't know, Commissioner Haynes, do you remember if there was any particular reason that it was decided to have commissioners be term limited?
I honestly cannot remember. If we had that discussion, we were concerned about staggering years, but there was no, my recollection was no, that we did not really talk about term limits and why we had put that in there.
So what do you all think? Do we go to council and say, once somebody knows what they're doing, almost it's time for them to step off? Do we care enough?
I think if we're going to have that discussion, we need to know what it is we're going to take to council. So, you've been on for 5 years, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and so next year would be the 6th year, and you would have to step back for another 3 years, if I'm remembering what was written in the...
Was it, and I just spoke with someone from the clerk's office. This is what I was told. Because Commissioner Hoffman served 2 years of his first term, and then he reapplied for a 3-year term, which is coming to an end, he has only served
5 years.
5 years.
So he has 1 more year.
No,
Was his first term 3 years?
2 years.
It was just 2 years, but was it supposed to be 3 years?
I think it was part of the staggering.
No, we were part of staggering because when we started, some people were given the first term of 1 year or 2 or 3 years. And then when your first term ends, you can reapply for now becoming 3 years. So already from the first term, it's staggered.
So what the clerk's office said to me just a few minutes ago was that because since the ordinance says no person serving on the commission continuously for 6 years shall be eligible for reappointment until the lapse of 3 years. So because he hadn't, they're no longer doing any partial terms.
Right.
So because he had not served 6 years, he's eligible to be reappointed for another term, and the term would be 3 years.
So going forward then, will all of us be serving 3-year terms? And will those 3-year terms be staggered or?
Well, we're already staggered.
Staggered, okay.
We're already staggered. So I think the issue is whether this is subsection 5 of the ordinance, our creating ordinance, which says, no person serving on a commission continuously for 6 years shall be eligible for reappointment. Do we want to challenge that? Do we want to say, we have commissioners who want to stay and who have valuable experience?
So I think there's 2 issues. The first issue is, did the staggering count, right? Because I was a part of that first group, and I think I was appointed for 3 years, right? So did the staggering count at that point? And then the other thing is, the other issue would be, should there be term limits? So 2 separate issues, right? And if
Right.
other commissions don't have term limits, then figuring out why we do have term limits, right?
Right.
I think there could be a good reason for term limits, right? Because bringing fresh ideas, fresh people on is also good. So, but I think that those are the two issues that we need to get clear from the clerk's office or from city council, from the writing of the ordinance as it was written, so.
Well, I'm wondering in terms, I think Commissioner Hoffman is the only one of us who did less than a 3-year initial term.
Right, I think who's left. I can't remember
Who's left,
if
yes.
the previous Chair Jackson had that kind of setup. I think that was one of her term limits or something, but, so I think there were just a few people. But I think myself and Commissioner Hoffman and you me and Commissioner Hoffman are the only two original from when the commission first got started, so.
So what
Left.
what is your pleasure? Do we leave it as is? Because the initial issue, I think, is resolved, according to the clerk's office. Commissioner Hoffman can reapply for another 3-year term. So should we just leave it for a while?
If that solves that problem, I think I'm good with that. I think there is still that question that, why do we have term limits and others don't? And that's okay, I just want an explanation for that.
So from what I was informed of is when the creation of ICPOC was formed, the communities and the groups that helped create the language for its bylaws came up with a term limit for this commission specifically. I was not there when they made this decision to include it, but that was a specific conversation that they decided to include that language and have ICPOC have term limits. Now,
But I asked, that's why I asked Commissioner
Yeah, and
Haynes.
As I'm thinking back on that, I think the reasoning was so that we would have new fresh blood coming in, essentially. So that we were not having someone that is on the commission forever or for an extended length of time without giving the community the opportunity to have fresh voices.
Okay.
And I think that's still important.
Okay, was there an understanding that most of the commissions did not have term limits?
That one I really don't remember.
now, if the commission would like to change that language in the ordinance, then that would need to come from one of the council liaisons on ICPOC to bring that up to city council, to take it to city council, so that can be changed.
Right, so that's why I'm trying to figure out if we want to do that or if we want to leave things as they are now, because the initial issue that brought this up has been resolved. Why don't we think, go ahead, Commissioner Green.
Yes, so as a rule, I personally am not in favor of term limits. However, but for this commission, it might be useful because it is important that we don't have the same people making the same decision, particularly if they happen to be bad decisions. So that turnover may be useful.
Okay.
I guess the question for me is it going to be a 6-year limit or something longer than that? Because there is value in having experience on the commission, and it takes a while to get that experience. I would say at least 3 to 4 years. And then we probably need another 2 to 4 years just to be effective,
So that's another option, to ask for the 3-year term limit as opposed, change it from 2 to 3. Why don't we sleep on it, and I'll put it on the agenda for the next time and decide what you would like to do. Go ahead.
I've just been sort of rummaging through the ordinances here. I found that the Historic Commission, the Public Market Advisory Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals Commission, and the Housing Board of Commission all have term limits.
They do? Okay. I think the Human Rights Commission does not have term limits. And so there are several that do not. So okay.
My only issue is, as was stated, is the experience that we accumulate, because we had really to do the groundwork for it. And the other issue is, if we look at the commissioners, only 2 of us who started are still in existence. And I remember a time when we had only 6 commissioners, and if one had not showed up, meaning that we did not have a quorum. So it's not like people are going to be here like they will die in office. No, we are not going to die in office unless God meant for us to. But definitely there is a turnover, natural turnover. So I think if we have the ordinance somehow flexible, I don't think there will be any issue in terms of people just coming over here and sitting and they will be there. Because I believe that the police force is going to change. There are going to be new recruits, younger ones, and also we know that probably the average age of residents of this town is probably under the age of maybe 30, 35. So they have their own issues that they need to be addressed. And I think it's important that we pass the torch to new blood, new ideas too. But at least for the stability and for the experience, if we can maintain some degree of we are here and we can reflect on the experience that we got and pass it to others. So when people come, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything will be ready for them.
Okay. Very good. Commissioner Haynes.
And I'd like to stress that when we were writing this ordinance, we were very concerned. We had a youth on the task force, and we were very concerned that there was youth representation on the commission, and we don't have that. And I'm wondering how we go about making that happen.
We do have one applicant for the youth position. Her application just hasn't, hasn't made it. We did interview her and approved her at the interview stage. So hopefully that person, and let me just say at this point, I think people get sick of me because I go around handing out my cards and saying, hey, wouldn't you like to be on this commission? And we don't have folks breaking down our doors. Maybe it's because of the time commitment or the seriousness of what we do, I don't know. But if anyone watching or anyone in the audience is interested at all, we certainly are looking for, we had one commissioner who was not able to continue, and so we have a vacancy. So, okay, next item. I'm going to pass out, these are our copies of our annual report, and we got some good feedback on it. I want to thank everyone who contributed, and I want to thank particularly Ms. Kim Mortensen with the city who laid this out, and she just did such a beautiful job for us. And I'm going to have some after the meeting if anyone in the audience would like a copy of our annual report. I think it came out beautifully. Ms. Kennedy's graphs came out well, and so I thank everybody for that. We had some good feedback, and people did read it online. It is online. I think finally, there's the issue of our public office hours. Did everybody get a chance to look at what Ms. Kennedy had come up with in terms of our office hours? And when she brought it up, I said, well, we never talked about it. Whether we want specific office hours. I'm just wondering, do we have a lot of people coming?
Currently, right now, no. And just to clarify, because I sent this out to the other commissions that I manage, and I just want to clarify, these office hours are specifically for community members to come speak to me about concerns related to police oversight. If I'm able to be a resource to them, provide them with, things right at hand that you all may not be able to do during the day because you all work, you guys have jobs and things going on. That is where I step in to do that. Now, if it is a complaint matter, that will still go to the regular process of going to information managers as well as PD to investigate and review. And so currently now, we don't have a lot of people coming. However, I don't know if that is due to the lack of awareness around it being known that ICPOC has public office hours. And so in front of you guys right now is a copy of the language that I've come up with to be placed on our website. If you haven't had a chance to review it, that's okay. You can still email me and let me know if you have any edits or changes to it before the final wording and layout and things like that. But this is just what I have so far. I'm open to feedback, suggestions, and things like that, but this is just kind of just a quick layout and, explanation. I even thought about including some language on there that says, if you're unsure if you need to schedule an appointment, still call, the staff liaison, because, I still want the public to know they can meet with me in person. They can set up a virtual meeting if that works better for them, or if a simple phone call works, we can do that as well. Any questions?
Not a question, but, well, maybe a question to the chair. Just for clarification, we know a citizen can make a complaint and come and have Ms. Cummings help them fill out the complaint if they need to
Sure.
help. Right,
Sure.
so I think in that case, this is very helpful for us to be able to tell people when they can do that. I've had at least one person who wanted to make a complaint about a policing issue, and somebody called me and said, when can they do this? And I didn't know for sure. I gave them the website, but it would be good for me to be able to tell them they could actually come to this office during this time, so I think it would be great.
Yeah. We also have hard copies. Oh, sorry, I've been told the mic. We also have hard copies of the complaint form, so if people would like to come in person to fill it out, they can do that. If they want it to be emailed to them, I can email it to them as well.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any objections, is there anybody who thinks that more information needs to be in this to go on the website, or is this sufficient?
I think what Bonnie just said should be.
That she's available to help fill out the?
Yeah, or that community members can come in and pick up an application, or,
A complaint.
yeah, how they can get an application, either
Okay.
from you or online or something, but some explanation as to inviting people to be able to do so.
Okay. I can.
You want to add that and send it out?
And I say that for some of our citizens who are having literacy problems, and we just had a big conference on the fact of the literacy levels in Washtenaw County and the need, and so this would be something that would be of assistance for some of those people also.
Okay.
So Commissioner Haynes, I can add that in there as well, that if you're unsure or if you need help or assistance filling out a complaint form, you can come in to fill it out.
Or
as well.
complaint forms are available here or on.
You know what?
online.
We have a section of that on our website, so what I can
Yes.
do is I can just edit that section and say, or if you prefer to fill out a complaint form in person, please
Yes.
contact the staff liaison.
Yes.
I can add that on there.
Thank you.
On the website, I'm sorry.
Okay. Very good. What?
Is that approved?
Yeah, why don't you add it, send it out, and we'll approve it by email.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Love that idea.
Please, everybody, respond to the emails. Okay, that is all that I have, and now I'm going to ask if there is any old business.
Currently, I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. Currently, there is no old business on the agenda. Does any of the commissioners have any old business? No old business, on to new business.
And we've already had the term limit discussion.
Correct.
So
Reports from committee?
we are going, but I want to say this in terms of new business. I have been in touch with the co-chair of the East Lansing Police Department Oversight Commission. We met her at NACO and had dinner with them one evening. And they are interested in perhaps some collaborations. They're looking into ways for their commissioners to be, to get training. And we do have some things in common, both being college towns, East Lansing and Ann Arbor. And so I would just sort of like the commission to let me know it's okay, that they would be interested in some kind of collaboration with another commission, or tell me, Stephanie, no, leave us alone. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll continue the discussions. There's nothing really that has been put together at this point, but I think it is a good idea for us to branch out a little bit, see what other folks around the state are doing. Okay, now we are to our committee reports, and I know Commissioner Green is the only one here from the Policy Committee, and I'm going to ask him if he doesn't have a report I had asked Commissioner Green, because he is a longtime attorney, and I asked him some time ago whether he would be willing to help us with the information managers. And I believe he has agreed. Yes?
That is true, and I look forward to that.
Okay, so we're going to move him, unless you want to do both committees.
No.
Okay, we're going to move him to the information
I
managers.
do want to make it known, commissioners can do more than one committee, you know. We have Commissioner Francis holding down the outreach committee, and she's doing great, so you can join more than one committee. You know, we're all making a difference.
Thank you for that.
But you still don't want to do it, huh? So I'm not sure when our next information managers meeting will be, but we've got the training pretty much down, and I know it won't take him but a minute to understand what we do with his background in reading police reports for years, decades. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Training committee.
You guys have your training coming up.
We have
I
a
know.
training, that's about it.
Right. We have a training
And
session.
a meeting.
When is your meeting?
I believe the training committee meeting is going to be April 4th.
Yes,
I believe that was the date,
That's when we meet with the PD.
that's when you meet with PD.
PD,
Right.
yes.
And so we're going to be hopefully talking with Lieutenant Dunlap and others about what training the officers are currently receiving. And our guide at this point, you know, is NACO, but there's also some other organizations who do talk about the training. I think when we talked about training previously, we were particularly interested in, as it's reflected in our annual report, we were interested in diversity training and in, I got to look at the report. That's it, in de-escalation. And so we'll see what's going on and what we think about that. So that meeting is coming up April 4th. If any of the other commissioners wish to come, you are certainly welcome to join us. And that's going to be downstairs in the
Yep, the
first floor conference room at
10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m. So please feel free to join us if you'd like.
What day is that?
The April the, yeah,
Thursday?
April 4th, next Thursday. Outreach Committee, Commissioner Francis.
Thank you very much. So we are currently awaiting response from the Ann Arbor Library Westgate branch to see if they would be able to host our public forum next month. So I'm waiting on that. If not, you know, we can reach out to one of the other branches. What we like about this is they do have plenty of conference room space, and it's on the bus line, which would hopefully promote attendance. So I will let you all know via email once I do hear back. And, you know, moving forward, one of the initiatives that I have had on our plate from, you know, when I started was to get our social media presence, to build it up a bit more. We need to start, especially if we have, you know, valuable office hours, open office hours for the community. We really want to be directing and redirecting traffic to our website, but we can also post some of this information on our social media as well, which would reach a wider audience and hopefully go further to serving the community. So that will be my goal for the next month until we meet again. Thank you.
Good, thank you. You know, we have our email list of contacts, and I was tempted to ask Ms. Cummings yesterday to send out a save the date, but it occurred to me if we couldn't find a venue, because we're scheduled to meet in the basement in April, and we couldn't get 4 or 5 people down there, so that couldn't work. Are we pretty confident we can find someplace, and then we'll send out a save the date, and then an invitation with the venue on it?
I can let you know tomorrow. I will be much more confident tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Can I ask a question about notification and who's on the list? I'm concerned with how community members are going to know of this and understand what it is that we're doing, and the fact that that our chief is coming to meet them and to hear from the community members anything and everything that's going on in their heads. But more importantly, how are we reaching just the ordinary citizens of Ann Arbor, and especially the community that's most affected by the relationship with the police department?
So we do have a list that we had put together some time ago. That's a very good question, and I did make contact with the individual that you suggested through one of the sororities, who is going to be able to contact others in that group, not just her group, but other groups. The last time I sent something out, I sent it to some of the churches. Commissioner Green, how would you say is best? Do we send something to the pastor of churches around and ask them to make announcements, or ask them to put it in the bulletin if churches still have bulletins? I mean, and we have other organizations that are on our list, and I don't know if anybody has other suggestions. We certainly would take them as to how to get the information out to the community.
That's probably the best way to do it that I can think of. I'm also involved in the Ministers Alliance as well, and I can try to feed them some of that information as well. So there's some avenues that we can take advantage of.
Okay.
To get the word out. And I'm willing to help do that.
Okay. Commissioner Billups?
Yeah, I think social media is a great way, and especially with all the community centers, and to ask them to share out through their social media platforms. I know we would do it at our organization, and I can't think of others who would not. So if we get that out early enough, we can share it out that way.
Is there a list of those
Organizations, youth serving agencies and others, yeah. I can provide definitely a list of youth serving agencies that would be great for, and community centers that would be great for you to get that.
If you can get that to, I don't know, how do we want to do it? Do we want the the outreach committee to, because I know nothing about social media. So if you want to do it, or if you want to know, Ms. Cummings is very good with it. How do we-
Yeah, so I'm happy, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm happy to help. If there are organizations, groups, associations that you know of that could go on our email list, I'm happy to add them. If you guys could just send me their emails or their contact information, I'm happy to add them. And then they'll be getting our community announcements and updates. Another good point is social media. I know if you need assistance, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah, I think a collaboration at times would be very helpful, because I have no presence online. I mean, I have it, but it's not interesting. So I would value that. Also, just to reference back to our last meeting, we are discussing it. We're not there yet, but we're discussing doing a Saturday at the market for commissioners. We would take turns essentially at a booth and be out there and meet people. And one of our other goals is to get some promotional materials printed up. So in this case, we could, have either, a report or flyers and go into public places and, community centers and leave behind some information just about our regular meetings, our special, public forums. And this would be helpful for, folks who don't have access to digital technology, or it's just, they're not as comfortable with it. So I think, word of mouth and, engaging our own personal networks, our own community networks is going to be huge. Also, thinking outside of just our own personal networks. I know, senior centers and organizations like those would also, value the information. Lori Terrace is, one that I would definitely want to drop off some information at.
What was that?
At
Lori
Terrace.
Okay.
So, it is a challenge. This is a challenge getting the word out, and I think the best course of action is just a diverse approach to print, word of mouth, web, and then, having some time to interface outside of our public forums, keep doing our public forums, but then possibly, go to the market on a Saturday, have our materials, meet people, take questions, redirect to wherever we have the most information, be it the website, our social media platforms. And I believe that's how the best way to move forward, and I'm happy to, get any help that I can, and any suggestions I'm open to, so
Well,
thank you.
it's getting warm. I'm going to ask Commissioner Neal, you're down at that market, and I go down, period. I'm happy to sit at a booth. And so can you make that contact to see what we have to do
I will
to get a
this-
booth?
I will this Saturday.
Thank you. Oh, this Saturday, good.
I
Council?
just have some suggestions. I just have some suggestions
Go,
about.
please.
All right, so like was mentioned, social service organizations, but community mental health. If we have flyers or printed material, Department of Health and Human Services in Ypsilanti, which also has community mental health there. Fresh Start Clubhouse, A Brighter Way. So folks that are impacted the most, these are some of the organizations and places that we want to communicate and get people, get their attention.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
Just
can you repeat those names again, or?
Community Mental Health, which
Community-
is right over here on 4th Street. DHHS on Prospect, which also has community mental health. A Brighter Way. Fresh Start Clubhouse, which now is located in Ypsilanti. It used to be here in Ann Arbor. The community, what's it called now? They changed Center for Independent Living, which is now Disability Network.
And are you suggesting printed
Flyers,
material?
yes, printed the old school,
Yeah.
way of getting in front of people to promote this meeting or the community meeting that the chief will be at, so,
Would you also like me to add them to the email list they have?
yes.
Okay, so we're looking into the farmer's market. I think it's a great idea, and it's getting warm enough where we will catch people out there.
You probably could also, Detroit Filling Station, which is a restaurant. You could leave some flyers there, or
Okay.
just some places that you will.
Well, we can get printed flyers just as soon as we get I wouldn't want to print up the flyers without the venue
Right.
on it.
Right.
But we can get out maybe an email, save the date, but we'll see if we can find out tomorrow for sure.
And also Washtenaw Community College and the Entrepreneurship Center at WCC. It's another place.
Good. Thank you all for your input.
I have I think I would also recommend you do some outreach to the schools. Our high school students have things to say, and they would like to hear this as well. They're community members. I would reach out to either counselors or principals of our major high schools here in Ann Arbor. I think that would be very helpful for them to be able to give their students. It could be something that goes on the wall in the counseling office, as simple as that, to let the students know. Letting the principals know, maybe they make an announcement during their morning announcements before this next meeting. Students are our future, so let's make sure they know about this as well.
I know you're very familiar, Commissioner Lycan, with the system, the educational system. Do you have contacts where you can?
It's been a while, but
I
yeah,
know.
Yes, I do. I would also recommend you contact the intermediate school district, and I can help you with that. We have, the ISD has many young adult programs throughout Ann Arbor for people with disabilities over the age of 18 through the age of 26, and they're all over the city. Some of them may have some things to say.
So would you also
Yes, I'll
like
help.
some paper flyers, paper to hand out, or email contacts?
Once we have the contacts of the people, they could certainly print things out. If you send them something, they'll print it out.
Okay, so
and supply
email
it.
would be
Yes.
okay. Okay, thank you all. Yeah, we need all hands on deck for this to get out.
2 more places, the Neutral Zone and then Michigan Works as well.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you so much. Do we have a report from the Information Managers Committee?
Yes. What we have right now is I completed the complaints of 2023. All are done. About half done into 2021. 2022, we're going to share and finish that. And the only one that probably requires more work is 2020. This is the beginning of our commission. And at that time, things were not clear. And so we have to revisit the complaints of 2020. And that would probably take the most time. So I'm leaving it to the back burner to finish what we have and then move on forward. So
Do we know how many we have so far for 2024?
I think there may be 2 currently. Last I checked, probably there were 2 complaints. But
Okay.
I would expect that the number will go up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, and there may be more that we just don't have anything on yet, but,
Correct.
okay. And
Correct.
we want to welcome Commissioner Green to the Information Managers Committee, and we will get with you. It won't take a minute to get you up to speed. Thank you. Now, a question that I did have. Am I using the right term for our complaint log, where it has nobody's name, but what the complaint was, what the department decided, and what our review was. And we were going to input our reviews onto the same document.
I think what we have is, yes, we have the log for all the complaints
Right.
and the investigation from the police department and their disposition.
Right.
Those ones are coming like in one big file
Right.
for all the complaints. Now, what we have also, for each complaint, we have a separate investigation, the complaint, if there were videos, and where they sent to, who reviewed them. And also with that will be the report
Right.
of that complaint. So,
Right.
so for each case, if you look at any of the cases, you will find all those materials.
Right, but wasn't there, Ms. Cummings, what am I talking about? That has everything, has the numbers and the complaint and everything on one sheet, the PC log, and that's where we're supposed to be inputting ours as well.
Yes.
There's a column for that,
Yes, your recommendations, yeah.
for our recommendation. That's in the PC log. And so I guess the question that I have, well, we can talk about it at our next meeting, but, okay. Well, the question has to do with, at one point, it was my understanding that Ms. Cummings could just input, once we turn in the report of our recommendation, that Ms. Cummings could take that and input it onto the PC log. So that's complete.
Yeah, that's there.
That is done. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. Okay. Thank you very much. We now have time for the city council update. Commissioner Harrison.
The only thing that I really have right now to update is that, like I've mentioned before, we are still in our implementation of the driving equality ordinance. And recently, the Vera Institute of Justice reached out to me to offer to basically offer to assist us with the implementation. And I wonder if I'm looking over at the chief, because I have a question for him. He may want to speak on something he shared with us. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it's okay to talk about this. One of the things that we've talked about in terms of the driving equality ordinance is that it's important for people to understand the 10 secondary traffic stops that, are a part of the ordinance, that when we have individuals that what I'm finding out is either people don't know about it, or if they have heard about it, they don't know exactly what the 10 stops are, the 10 secondary traffic violations. So, it's good for us to for people to know, so that we don't have any unintended consequences. So what I talked with Philadelphia about is one of the things that they did was they had cards printed out that listed their 8 stops, the secondary traffic violations. And so that was something that I wanted to happen here, so that as we're out and about and we're, communicating with the public, or if we're representing ICPOC, at an event, or all these things that go on in the community, it's important for us to be handing these out so that folks know what the 10 stops are. And I think it's okay for me is it okay for me to ask about this? Sure. So Chief Anderson shared that, I believe he's working on a flyer, maybe?
Already
Yes.
completed.
See, okay, I thought it was safe for me to bring this up. So did you want to share with us, or come on up and share with us what?
Yes, just briefly, I had an opportunity to be part of a community meeting or a conference call with respect to many leaders throughout the country that talked about some of the things they were doing in order to ensure that the community members had information on the driving ordinance, specifically Philadelphia, who has 8 driving ordinances, and obviously we have 10. And so one of the recommended strategies was that they get some type of flyer that you might have in order to assist the way that I internalize that in the communication is that we have some type of 3x5 card that would have 5 on one side, 5 on the other, in order to help not only just the police officers who really have been prepared and understand what we're doing, but actually the community. So I had members of our staff reach out and create some of those items, the 3x5 cards now, and I actually saw them this evening. So many of them are completed. We're just getting them cut to specs, and so we wanted to move forward and make sure that we had that available.
Thank you. Yes, so that's what we want. That's what we're doing in Philadelphia. So he joined, Chief Anderson joined a conference call that we had with the Vera Institute of Justice, and talking about implementation. And this is one of the strategies and one of the tools that's being used in Philadelphia. And so before we could even meet and talk about it, he already
Had 'em printed.
started working on it. So
Thank you.
thank you for that. So
Thank you.
yeah, that's what we've got.
I'm going to call on Commissioner Haynes. I know you've got a question. I was just going to say, you know, I wished, I had talked with the acting chief before about putting something on the police officer's business card that said, if you have a compliment or a complaint about a police interaction, to have ICPOC put on the card. And that might have been a perfect opportunity to put something like that on there with our telephone number and the way to get in touch with ICPOC. What happened with that is that I was told, you know, when new officers come, and there's always getting new cards printed up if somebody runs out of their cards. And so we'd have to catch that at some point to add that information onto all the cards that were going out. So that next time you print them up, maybe we can add something to that. But I'm sorry, Commissioner Haynes.
Just a question for you, Chief Anderson.
Yes.
The cards that you're mentioning.
Yes.
They are available?
Well, they still have to get cut, but we do have the prints ready, so it's going to take a little bit of time to make sure they're meeting the.
So could those cards be available for our April 23rd meeting with the community, and we have them then?
I think we can. Generally speaking, I just started working on this, so I kind of like to speak to my staff in order to make sure that they're aware of what we're doing, but I just wanted to make sure we have them present. But I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's not anything new. I mean, it's already posted. It's been in the media. Obviously, we know what we're doing and where we're going with respect to the ordinance and the changes we're making. So I think by us communicating with the community and with our police officers, who are actually doing a really good job of understanding where we need to go, I don't see any reason why we can't share that with members of the community.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Phillips, did you have a question or comment? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so, it's important that, like you mentioned, that we're sharing widely with the community. And when I talk about unintended consequences, what I mean by that is, if we have, a young man that has heard, that, in Ann Arbor, you can't be stopped for this or that, and, this young man thinks, I've got a front light out, they may think that they can't get stopped for one, like their front light, right? One of their lights being out. And they can, because that's not part of the ordinance. Then they get stopped. And if they might argue, I don't know. There's unintended, there's always unintended consequences when we try to do something different, right? So it's really important that people know about this. Number one, they know about it, and then that they are familiar with what the 10 stops are. So that they're educated. So kudos to Chief Anderson for jumping right on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I would suggest that also the outreach would print those ones on fridge magnets. I don't know why I like this, because you just slap it on the fridge, and also people like to collect those ones.
Yeah, it's a great idea and we wanted to print magnets, so now we know first round will be
Well, we can, if you all decide that that's a good way to do it, we can certainly have them printed up. Okay. All right, thank you, Councilperson Harrison. Are there any communications?
Not communications, but I think for the folks in the Ann Arbor News, there was a coverage, there was a report on the annual report. I'm not sure if anyone had seen it or not.
I did not see it. Did they say it?
Was actually in the paper. There were another coverage of welcoming the Chief Anderson. The only thing over there that was missing, I know it was, and the occasion was the new chief, but the missing part was there was no mentioning of ECPAC in the report, which I felt was a little bit missing in that. If you read through it.
They said we had a report, but didn't say who it was from?
No, the report was fine. I think it quoted you also in the report.
Okay.
And I saved the paper.
Okay.
I'll bring it next time. The other issue is Trilio, which is the software that many police departments are using. It's being used now by the Sheriff Department, Washington County Sheriff Department, and I probably might be able to get in touch with them and see what they are doing with that software and what type of applications and use that they are dealing with. So I might have some idea maybe next time we meet.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other communications? If not, is there anything that any of the commissioners wish to add at this point? And I'm going to be with you. Okay. Then we're going to wrap up to see if there's any public comment at the end of our meeting. Yes, sir, please come up.
Thank you. I was the caller that couldn't figure out how to unmute my phone, so I thank you for letting me speak now. So I have 3 issues, and I think this is perfect that you brought up redoing the business cards of the Ann Arbor Police. On the back of it, it has victims' rights on there, and it says, to apply or if you have questions, contact phone number 517-373-7373. That's no longer a valid number. I just verified it with the police officer, but not there, but he just left. And so I think if we're redoing the business cards, I think having a valid number for victims' rights, victims, I don't know how to articulate that correctly, but a valid number should be on the back. The second point is police vehicle 32E, license plate 11X951, habitually illegally parks just east on Ann Street of the entrance into Larkham City Hall. You can actually go on Google Earth right now and see it for yourself. I also have multiple videos. It's the same one. And I think every time when I talk to a police officer about this, they instantly say that police are exempt from traffic laws. And so I looked up the Michigan state law and the City of Ann Arbor policies, and the only thing I can find is MCL 257.603. And that law specifically states that police officers are only exempt from traffic laws when they're going to an active call of duty. Nothing else says that they're allowed to be exempt. So when every single police officer I have ever spoken to instantly says that they're exempt from traffic laws when they're not on an active call, I think we might need to have a station-wide retraining on what actually police officers are, when police officers are exempt from traffic laws. I mean, I tried to file a complaint yesterday with Christopher Allen Pitt, police number 316, and he directly said that the City of Ann Arbor has a policy that blatantly exempts police officers from traffic laws. One, I don't think that policy exists. And even if it did exist, city policies in no way trump state law. So even if the City of Ann Arbor had some policy that granted their police officers exemption from traffic laws, it doesn't supersede MCL 257.603. So I would like to, one, have the police officers represent the city and not illegally park constantly, because it's a blind intersection. So if it's a blind intersection, writing police on the side doesn't make it any really more visible You know, and it's on Google Earth as well. So I think that's kind of also shameful to have on Google Earth, the world can see that the Ann Arbor Police Department illegally parks in front of the police department. And this is just one last thing. If it was a legal and safe place to have a parking spot, I'm pretty sure the city of Ann Arbor would have made it a parking spot because we need as much parking as possible. Thank you for your time. I thank you so much for letting me speak. You guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Would you, do you want a response? Do you want to make a formal complaint? We can get back to you after the meeting if you come and see us.
Well, to be honest, I've tried to make formal complaints before, and the first time I did, I asked to speak with someone, and I was refused and denied the access to speak with someone until I, quote, after my case was closed, then they'll speak with me, but they won't say it won't do anything. And so I don't think really filing a complaint does anything when, if the issue is with the city, the committees, especially also the Human Rights Committee, they refer to the city attorneys at all time, and so they'll side with that. And so eventually you guys will say that you're mediators, but then all the mediator does is say that they just deny information for me, make blatant accusations against citizens. I've never been charged with a crime, but I was trespassed for trying to speak at a public meeting. I wasn't getting into that. I really just wanted to talk about the invalid number for the human rights and police vehicle 32E license plate 11X951 who habitually, illegally and unsafely parks in the no parking tow-away zone right in front of Larkham City Hall. So I would like a response, but not about the lawsuit and all that stuff, just about the phone number thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? If not, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We look forward to seeing you again April 23rd at our public forum for the chief to meet with you. And I want to thank the commissioners, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Look at that. Look at that. What I do.